Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most popular budgeting methods that's helped millions of people take control of their finances, the 50-30-20 rule. If you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, or wondering where all your money goes each month, this video is exactly what you need. By the end of this guide, you'll have a crystal clear understanding of how to implement this budgeting strategy and start building real wealth. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're constantly sharing practical financial tips that can genuinely change your life. So what exactly is the 50-30-20 rule? It's beautifully simple. You divide your after-tax income into 3 categories: 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings and debt repayment. This framework was popularized by Senator Elizabeth Warren in her book, All Your Worth, and it's stuck around because it actually works. Let's break down each category, starting with the 50% for needs. Your needs are the absolute essentials, things you literally cannot live without. This includes your rent or mortgage payment, utilities like electricity and water, groceries, transportation costs, insurance premiums, and minimum debt payments. Notice I said minimum debt payments. We'll get to why that matters in a minute. The key here is being brutally honest about what's truly a need versus what feels like a need. Your Netflix subscription, that's not a need, even though it might feel essential after a long day. Now let's talk about the 30% for wants. This is where most people get tripped up. Wants are everything else that makes life enjoyable, but aren't strictly necessary for survival. This includes dining out, entertainment, hobbies, that fancy coffee shop visit, new clothes beyond basic necessities, and yes, streaming services. The beauty of allocating 30% to wants is that you're not depriving yourself. You're just being intentional about your spending. Finally, we have the 20% for savings and debt repayment. This is where your financial future gets built. This category should include your emergency fund, retirement contributions, any extra debt payments beyond minimums, and savings for specific goals like a house down payment or vacation. If you have high-interest debt like credit cards, you might want to throw more than 20% at debt repayment initially. Let me walk you through a real example so this makes perfect sense. Let's say you bring home $4,000 per month after taxes. Using the 50-30-20 rule, you'd allocate $2,000 for needs, $200 for wants, and $800 for savings and debt repayment. Your $2,000 for needs might look like this: $200 for rent, $300 for groceries, $200 for utilities, $150 for car payment, $100 for insurance, and $50 for your phone bill. Your $1,200 for wants gives you plenty of room for entertainment, dining out, new clothes, and those little purchases that make life more enjoyable. And that $800 going towards savings and debt repayment? That's $9,600 per year building your financial foundation. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great in theory, but my situation is different. Maybe you live in a high-cost area where 50% barely covers your rent, or perhaps you're dealing with significant debt payments. The 50-30-20 rule isn't set in stone. It's a starting point that you can adjust based on your circumstances. If your needs are taking up 60% of your income, you might need to temporarily reduce your wants to 20% until you can increase your income or reduce your fixed expenses. The important thing is maintaining that 20% savings rate, if at all possible. That's your ticket to long-term financial security. Here's how to actually implement the system starting today. First, calculate your exact after-tax monthly income. This means your paycheck minus taxes, health insurance, and any other automatic deductions. Next, multiply that number by 0.5, 0.3, and 0.2 to get your 3 budget categories. Then, list out all your current expenses and categorize them honestly into needs, wants, and savings. You might be surprised by what you discover. Many people find they're spending 40% or more on wants without realizing it. If your numbers don't align with the 50-30-20 framework initially, don't panic. Start by tracking your spending for a month to see exactly where your money is going. Then, Gradually adjust your spending to move closer to the target percentages. The biggest mistake people make is trying to change everything overnight. Sustainable budgeting is about making gradual, consistent improvements. Let's address some common challenges you might face with this budgeting method. Challenge number 1. Your needs exceed 50% of your income. This often happens in expensive cities or when you're carrying significant debt. In this case, look for ways to reduce your fixed expenses. Maybe that means getting a roommate, refinancing your car loan, or finding a cheaper phone plan. You might also need to focus on increasing your income through a side hustle or asking for a raise. Challenge number 2. You struggle to stick to the 30% wants category. This is where most budgets fail because people feel too restricted. The solution is to be strategic about your wants spending. Plan for the things you value most and cut back on impulse purchases that don't bring you real joy. Challenge number 3. 20% for savings feels impossible when you're living paycheck to paycheck. If this is your situation, start with whatever you can manage. Even 5% is better than nothing. As you optimize your spending and potentially increase your income, you can gradually work your way up to 20%. Here are some practical tips to make the 50-30-20 rule work better for you. Automate your savings so the money is moved before you have a chance to spend it. Use separate bank accounts for each category to make tracking easier. Review and adjust your budget monthly. Your needs and wants will change over time. Consider using budgeting apps that can automatically categorize your expenses. And remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. One of the biggest advantages of the 50-30-20 rule is its simplicity. Unlike complicated budgeting systems that require tracking every single penny, this method gives you clear guidelines without being overwhelming. It also builds in flexibility for life's unexpected expenses while ensuring you're consistently saving for the future. The psychological benefit is huge too. Knowing that 30% of your income is allocated for fun spending helps prevent the feeling of deprivation that kills most budgets. Let's talk about some variations of the rule that might work better for your situation. If you're in debt, you might consider a 50-20-30 approach, keeping needs at 50%, reducing wants to 20%, and boosting debt repayment and savings to 30%. If you're in your peak earning years with low expenses, you might flip to a 40-30-30 split, reducing needs to 40% and increasing savings to 30%. Young people just starting their careers might need a 60-25-15 split initially while they build their income. The key is finding a balance that's sustainable for your current situation while still prioritizing your financial future. Here's something most financial gurus won't tell you. The 50-30-20 rule works best when you're earning a middle-class income. If you're making minimum wage, 50% might not cover basic needs. And if you're earning 6 figures, you probably don't need 30% for wants. But for the majority of people earning between $40,000 and $100,000 per year, this framework provides an excellent foundation for financial stability. Let me share some success stories from people who've implemented this system. Sarah, a teacher earning $45,000 per year, used the 50-30-20 rule to pay off $15,000 in credit card debt in 2 years, while building a $5,000 emergency fund. Mike, a software developer, used this framework to save for a house down payment, accumulating $60,000 in just 3 years. The common thread in these success stories: they started where they were, not where they thought they should be, and made consistent adjustments over time. Now let's address what happens when life throws you curveballs. Your car breaks down, you have a medical emergency, or you lose your job. These situations will test your budget. This is exactly why that 20% savings category is so crucial. It includes your emergency fund that protects you when unexpected expenses arise. If you have to dip into other categories temporarily, that's okay. Budgets are meant to be flexible tools, not rigid constraints. The important thing is getting back on track as soon as possible. Before we wrap up, let me give you some advanced strategies to supercharge your 50-30-20 budget. Within your 20% savings category, prioritize building a $1,000 emergency fund first. Then focus on any high-interest debt while contributing enough to your 401k to get your full employer match. Once you're debt-free except for your mortgage, you can split that 20% between retirement savings, additional emergency fund contributions, and other financial goals. Consider increasing your savings rate by 1% each time you get a raise. You won't even notice the difference, but it compounds dramatically over time. And here's a pro tip. If you get a tax refund, bonus, or any windfall, put it directly toward your savings and debt repayment rather than increasing your want spending. The 50-30-20 rule isn't just about managing money. It's about creating a life where you're in control of your finances instead of them controlling you. It gives you permission to enjoy your money while ensuring you're building a secure financial future. Most importantly, it's simple enough that you'll actually stick with it, which is more valuable than any perfect budget you'll abandon after 2 weeks. Remember, personal finance is exactly that, personal. Use the 50-30-20 rule as your starting point, but don't be afraid to adjust the percentages based on your unique situation and goals. The best budget is the one you'll actually follow consistently. If this video helped clarify how to take control of your finances, smash that like button and subscribe for more practical money tips that actually work in the real world. Drop a comment below and let me know. What's your biggest challenge with budgeting? And how do you think the 50-30-20 rule might help? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll dive into building that emergency fund we talked about today.